Hello and welcome to We Poets. My name is Sally Baker and I'm the host of We Poets. We Poets is a poetry show for boys and girls between the ages of 6 and 13. We also train middle school and high school students between the ages of 13 and 19 how to be our interns and produce our program. But today we are on location and I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Daniel MAHER. He is a recycling program manager at the Ecology Center. So here we go. Hi, Daniel.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Thank you for inviting us to come and take a tour of the center.
Sure, no problem at all.
So first of all, my first question is, what takes place here at the center every day?
Well, we are actually the center that handles all of the materials that are collected curbside. The Ecology Center is a partner of the city of Berkeley, and we are responsible for collecting all residential recycling for the city of Berkeley. So what we do is we send our drivers out every day, Monday through Friday, to different parts of the city, and they collect what's in the blue recycling cans. And then once they collect those, they bring those here to this facility. It's part of a 6-acre facility that's operated by the city of Berkeley and private nonprofits. Ours is the Ecology Center, which is a nonprofit, and our sister organization, which is Community Conservation Center next door to us. We also operate the entire facility as far as the recycling goes. And so what we do is when we drop off our materials here, everything that's put together in that recycling cart gets separated out into their different components, which is part of the reason for processing, because unless they are separated, there's no inherent value in the material. And so the materials are separated out here, and they are packaged for either shipping or export, both domestic and to foreign countries for additional processing.
What countries do you ship the materials out to?
Well, traditionally we have sent out to the eastern countries like China, Malaysia, but due to the recent changes in China's ban on exported scrap materials, now we send a lot of our plastic scrap down to Southern California, where it has a secondary purpose. It's used primarily because of the cleanliness of the materials. We have a dual stream recycling program which separates the paper products from all the bottles and cans. And because of that unique scenario, our materials are sent down south to another facility that our materials are used as part of a demonstration program to highlight the effectiveness of different recycling equipment and processing equipment, so that that company down south is actually able to use our clean materials to run it through their demonstration equipment so that they can find potential buyers of very specialized equipment, whether it's including optical sorters or just different trammel systems that could be applied to separate recycling for different cities or different programs that would like to utilize that equipment.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to take a tour of the center a little bit later on, right?
Yes, we are.
Uh-huh. So now tell me, how many employees do you hire here?
Well, for a recycling program of this size, we just handle the residential recycling for the city of Berkeley. We do have 8 full-time routes, so there's 8 trucks going out every day, 5 days a week. I do have 13 staff members. There's 2 administrative, and then of course 11 for drivers and backup in case there's some that call in sick or they're on vacation. So we have some flexibility there.
Mm-hmm. Do you hire more men than women?
Traditionally, just statistically, I would say that we have more male applicants than females, but we have had female drivers in the past, and we're certainly open to hiring those as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are some of the positions that you hire people for?
We strictly have, aside from the admin position, which is few, we do have 11 driver positions, which we hold as full-time.
Mm-hmm. Do they have to pass a test or background checks before you hire them?
We actually do conduct background checks, and we also have that they require a commercial Class B license, not the traditional Class C license, which allows them to operate typical automobiles. But a commercial license is required because they are traveling in a 35,000-pound vehicle. There are going to be some safety checks that are required, and these are things that a commercial driver is trained upon. And so once they come in with that certification, we are confident that they have those capabilities to do those inspections daily.
Now, since we are a children's program, do you have special programs for children to come and take tours?
We do. We do have classes that come through. They schedule a tour so that we can conduct them as long as they give us a call in advance, and we can schedule with both teachers and even concerned family members or parents that are just curious. We certainly have that available.
And if a teacher wanted to have a tour, she would just call you?
That's correct.
Would you give us your address and your telephone number, please?
So our telephone number here is 510-527-5555, and the email address they can reach us at is through recycling@ecologycenter.org. And the address here is 1231 2nd Street. This is the recycling program because we also have another location, which is a retail office that also doubles as our information library and our outreach programs at 2530 San Pablo Avenue, which is also in Berkeley as well.
Now, let's see what my next question is. Let's see here, about the drivers. Well, what happens when people bring their recycled materials here?
So there is a public area that's a public drop-off center. There's so residents that just come in, or they've just moved in, or they just have a lot of material. They can simply come in and drop off in the public area. It's a donation area, so everything that's dropped off is essentially at no fee or no return payment. But they're allowed to drop off as much as they have. Likewise, there's also a California redemption drop-off, which is considered a buyback. Residents can bring their bottles and cans where they've paid a deposit at the supermarket. They can actually get that deposit back at the drop-off as well.
Good. Now, let's see, what's my next question here? What are your office hours that you're open for people to come and bring their stuff?
The location hours are open between 8:30 to about 3:30 p.m. They do close at 4, but the gates start to roll shut around 3:30 to 3:45.
And are you closed any days of the week?
There's no operation on Sunday for the buyback center and the drop-off. Our drivers only operate Monday through Friday, but the facility is open for them to come in.
Now, when we take our tour, can you tell us what different areas we're going to be seeing?
Well, we're going to explore, first of all, what the material looks like after we've collected it from each residence in Berkeley. Our trucks offload the materials, and so there will be two material streams. The Ecology Center and the Community Conservation Center have devoted their operations to maintaining clean, separated materials. We're very different from our neighboring areas where everything is put into one container in one bin. And because of that, our materials are considered higher valued and higher quality because, we separated the liquids from the paper, we've separated broken glass from the paper, and as long as we maintain that separation, the value of the material is a lot higher. And so we believe in our highest and best use principle here in Berkeley. So because of that, we have two different material streams. We're going to have the container pile, which is actually everything that comes out of the blue cart. With the blue lid, and so that includes your bottles, cans, plastic containers, and tin cans, bimetal, you just name it. As long as it's a container, it's in that pile. And then also the separate facility on the other side is going to be for all of the paper products, which is your cardboard, your mail, your office paper, newspapers, and magazines. And of those two sorting sides, the containers are probably going to be the most complex because there are many different container types. There's your plastic bottles, and glass bottles is separated by color here, so it's just clear, brown, and green. There's many typical types of plastic containers. You're going to have your PET water bottles, your HDPE milk containers. You're also going to have polystyrene containers. You're going to have your yogurt tubs, which are number 5s. And so all different container types are allowed in the Berkeley stream now. We used to only have number 1s and number 2s collected, but in 2013 we've actually expanded that program to include all clean, rigid containers.
What things do you do not take?
That's a very good question. Thanks for asking that. We do not take plastic film. That includes shopping bags of any type of plastic, flexible films we do not take. We also do not take block styrofoam or any type of styrofoam materials. We do not take any of the new urethane type foams as well. So there's a flexible foam that is also seen a lot. We don't take those. We also do not take anything that's toxic. And, we do have butane canisters, even though it's a tin or a container. We typically don't allow anything that's flammable, anything that has contained any kind of motor oils. So even though it's a plastic bottle, we don't accept those as well.
What happens to the lids on bottles? Those little metal lids?
If
Are
it's
they recycled?
the metal lids on a glass bottle, you can leave those on, because once the glass is broken, metal lids are magnetic, and part of the sorting process includes a magnetic conveyor belt that'll actually lift those off of the material stream. So that's one less person to have to pick through broken glass to get. As long as the lid is the same type of material as the container, you can think of maybe a vitamin supplement powder that might have a white bottle with a white container lid. Keep that on the bottle. It's the same material. It's recyclable the same way that anything else would be. If you take the lids off the container, it becomes too small to sort. And so that ends up getting filtered out into a different screen where it just drops, and it ends up becoming part of the trash stream as well. So keep the lids on the containers is what I'd recommend best.
Now, do any of your workers get injured with the glass?
As long as our workers are wearing all of their safety equipment, they have their hearing protection, their eye protection, they're wearing gloves, and as long as they're observing all of the safety practices that they should, glass is usually not an issue. If, for instance, they didn't have safety glasses, there's a lot of broken glass that gets bounced around during the process of tipping the carts. And so as long as they're wearing their safety equipment, it's not likely to happen. But
You have to wear safety shoes?
They do. They do wear steel-toed boots, so that if anything drops, then, whether it's minor or major, it has some capability to protect their feet as well.
Now, do you go out to schools and other places and give talks about the recycling center?
We do. We used to actually bring a truck out there to demonstrate on site as well. But of course, it varies from place to place. Generally, we'll do an in-class demonstration. We'll bring some materials for the kids to actually participate and sort out. And then we go over, why are materials sorted and recycled, and why are some not able to be recycled. We make it highly interactive, and we hope that we generate the interest that these kids have, because it's usually the kids that teach the parents, and it just kind of works its way up, and we love that.
Now, is there anything else you would like to put out before we go and take our tour?
We also offer a 24-hour voicemail answering machine. We also offer 8 hours of live operator communication, where we're able to answer questions directly for residents if they have questions either about toxic materials and how to recycle or dispose of them. We also offer different resources for different cities if they have any other additional questions. And the Ecology Center in general has been around for a very long time. And we are one of the first recycling programs in the nation, and so we're generally treated as the primary source of information. So if we can't find out, or if we don't have the information for you, we'll definitely spend some resources to find out for you. It gets down to as minute details as where do toothbrushes get recycled, or you name it, where does bubble wrap go? Just ask us, and if we can't find out, we'll look it up for you.
Where does bubble wrap go?
Actually, it goes into a film recycler. So although it's not collected at the curbside here in Berkeley, it is recyclable. Clean film is recyclable. It just cannot be put in a recycling cart, because once it's mixed in with liquids or different gritty materials that might have come from different containers, it's not recyclable anymore. But if it's clean and it's non-contaminated, you can actually even recycle it with plastic bags that are put in, let's say, neighborhood shopping bins that are located in front of supermarkets.
Okay, well, I certainly thank you for coming and letting us do this interview. So now let's go out and take a tour. But before we go out, give us your name again and your title, the address and the telephone number and the hours.
Great. So my name, again, is Daniel Maher. I'm the Recycling Program Manager for the Ecology Center at the Recycling Program here at 1231 2nd Street. We're in Berkeley. And also the number you can reach us at is 510-527-5555.
Okay, so now we're going to take a tour.
I'd like to demonstrate why we have a split cart recycling system. So in a general city, especially the neighboring cities that we have, everybody places their recycling into one container just to make it easy for residents to participate in a recycling program. But due to restrictions in China's export bans as far as scrap plastics or scrap materials, those cities are finding it harder and harder to actually find a market to get their materials to. And so their last resort is to basically stockpile them and store them for long periods of time, hoping that the markets change. But Berkeley's unique. It's one of the very few cities that still maintain two different recycling streams. And so we actually have a cart that demonstrates that. It makes it a lot easier So in our typical residential can, which is a 64-gallon cart, we have one compartment that's specifically for paper products. It can be your magazines, newspapers, or even cardboard boxes. And on the other side, which is also a divided portion, is for all containers. And what that does is it maintains a separation of those materials and keeps them clean, and it doesn't contaminate the other materials when they get into the cart. And that's going to be demonstrated when we go into our walkthrough. I'm going to show you the two different areas. When the truck offloads the materials, it's going to show you the two separated areas. So I wanted to highlight that because this has actually been one of the best decisions that has been made as far as how to maintain clean separated materials. There are places now that are finally catching on because they realize that the marketability of these materials are dependent on keeping them clean, and so they're reverting from a single can where they place everything into divided carts, and we're seeing that trend come back now. So in this area, you're going to take a look at what actually gets emptied out in the container side. As you can see on the residential portion, it's going to be a lot of typical items that are usually found in a general household. There's also a commercial side, which you're going to see a lot more larger buckets, 5-gallon buckets. They're usually bulk food handling items as well. So the City of Berkeley operates and collects both. The Ecology Center collects just residential only. So the residential and commercial sides here. And this is exactly what it looks like just before materials get sorted out. And so this is the before photo. It travels through a conveyor system, as you can see down in that end. And once it gets to the other side, there's actually a group of about 5 to 8 sorters that are actually charged with being responsible for separating all of those materials out so that we have a clean material stream of just number 1, number 2 plastics, glass bottles of brown, green, and clear, and going forward. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's in the back and how it works. All right, so here's where we're going to show that the City of Berkeley is committed to highest and best use. And that starts somewhere simple as recycling glass bottles. Every other city, municipality, you name it, they're basically going to run a program that takes all of the glass bottles, mash them all together, and recycle them into something as similar as asphalt. Basically, the recyclability of glass that's mixed together actually reduces its value and recyclability. But Berkeley maintains color separation. And for that, it means that a clear glass bottle, when recycled, can actually be recycled back into a clear glass bottle. Same with the green and brown. But once you mix them together, you're actually losing a color grade that you have that may be more universally used. So clear glass can be used for a lot of different things. Green, you're starting to limit your ability to recycle it, except maybe candle holders or you name it, just something different. But once you mix them all together and there's no way to separate it, you'll get a fourth pile, which is actually a pile that can't be recycled in a typical way. And so that's also recycled into something as simple as asphalt or road aggregate. So in this portion, this is actually what we see after the conveyor feed has brought the material over to the sorting side. And so although it's not in operation currently, you can picture about 3 or 4 different staff on this end of the conveyor belt. And their primary purpose is to sort the different colors of glass and any trash that they find. And on the other end of the conveyor system, which is more on the forward end, they're going to be responsible for plastic bottles and any large bulky items that would normally get in the way. Like I said, it's not in operation now, but you're going to have to basically picture it when it's fully staffed and that conveyor belt's running. And so that's how the materials actually get sorted out along the way. So in this area, you're going to see basically all of the separated paper. This is just before sorting, and you'll notice that a lot of the paper that's composed of cardboard right now, that's actually part of the change in what's actually out there. There used to be a lot more newspapers and newsprint, but over time there's been a lot of transitioning over to digital media, and so we don't see a lot of newsprint anymore. But what you will see is a lot more cardboard. That's because of the increase in e-commerce, which includes a lot of shipping and deliveries. And so that's actually pretty noticeable now. Didn't used to look like this before. But like I said, this is actually what it looks like as it comes out of the recycling bins from each residence in Berkeley. And this is prior to sorting. When we get to the next section, you're going to take a look at what actually comes out of that pile and what is actually still baled up and shipped out. So over here, you're going to see that overhead sorting site. This is actually where the staffers work. They're going to sort out mostly cardboard from that material stream because that's the highest valued commodity now. And everything else that falls off the end of that line is baled up and exported as mixed paper. And so that's what it actually looks like when it's sorted out. It gets pushed onto a conveyor system that feeds a baler, and the baler will go ahead and compress that material into square bales that make it allow for it compresses a lot of the material so it fits into a small shipping container, and that shipping container is loaded and taken to the port, where it is then delivered to either an export facility that goes to either one of the Far East countries, or if it goes domestic, it's going to be shipped through a shipping container to somewhere down south, like our other sorting facility that we were talking about earlier, which takes that material, breaks it open, and sorts it one more time through their equipment as a demonstration program. This location is one of the few buyback centers left in Berkeley. This is where residents will actually take their materials back and to receive their deposit that they paid at a supermarket. It's actually funded by the state, operated by the Community Conservation Center, and this is basically how it happens. You bring their materials up, you sort them and weigh them, and then the attendant there will actually give you a ticket you take up to the front counter. The front counter will give you a check, and you'll get your deposit back. Also at the heart of this facility is a public drop-off area. This is actually great for those that actually have no time. They can simply grab all of the materials they want to just pull up. It's a public area, and everything is marked clearly so they can actually come in and drop off the materials as they see fit. We only allow materials that we would normally collect in a curbside residential program, with the only difference maybe being larger, clean, rigid containers, which are too large to fit in a recycling cart, can easily fit in these blue bins here. We also collect books, automotive batteries, aluminum trays, cassettes, DVDs, CDs, and at the far end you'll see scrap metal recycling bins. These are for larger, heavy items that are made out of metal. There's also universal waste drop-off, which is something new, but it's essentially for your compact fluorescent bulbs, disposable batteries. We also allow for the recycling of large appliances, provided they do not contain any toxic substances. These can be washing machines, dryers, stove tops, barbecue grills, you name it. Something that's large, bulky, and made out of metal.
Daniel, thank you so much for letting We Poets come today and film this recycling program. We've learned so much, and I know our audience is going to learn a lot too.
Great. Thanks again for coming here. It's actually a great visit, and I'm glad I was able to explain everything to you.
You did a wonderful job. So without further ado, let's wave goodbye to our audience.
All right.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching.